Hey guys, my name is Rebecca, and this is the life with a T1D, and I'd just like to share my story real quick. So let's get started. I got diagnosed. We went to our friend's house and we had some chips and cheese, and that was the last meal before I got diagnosed. I do totally remember that clearly because I had woke up. We had that morning, the day we went to the friend's house, that morning we had gone swimming, and I complained of my ear hurting, and my mom thought it was swimmer's ear, and so we were gonna go to the doctor the next day because that's when we could schedule and that's when they could make it available. So we were gonna go the next day. So then we had dinner that night, as I told you already, and then we go that morning to the doctor's office bright and early, as always. And I had got on the scale and realized my weight was 115. Hadn't really been 115 since I was like in the middle grades and like down in like elementary school. I had not really been in the hundreds since then, and just like being 115, I was excited. I mean, like, I thought because of me losing weight and all that stuff that like that was amazing. Like, I didn't even know. I was so excited because I thought all that trying to eat different foods and trying to exercise would have worked, and I thought it did. And my mom, she kind of knew when she saw my weight because she also knew that wasn't my usual weight and that what I did wasn't what I normally did. So she also asked that if they would check my blood sugars because we have somebody in the family with type 1 diabetes as well. So I guess for mom knowing her intuition, she got my blood sugars checked as well. While we were there for my ear, not for my type 1 diabetes. So we go in my room, we go in the doctor's office, we're in the room waiting there. The doctor comes from inside. She looks all serious, and I don't know why. I'm thinking it's just my ear infection. Just me as a 12 or 13-year-old girl. I'm just like, oh, my ear infection. You can give me amoxicillin or whatever you need to give me, and I'll be okay. She comes in, and she's like all solemn and telling me that I have type 1 diabetes. And then I start crying because I think it's like type 2 diabetes, which most people think my diabetes is type 2 diabetes, but we'll get into that later. So I start crying, and then my mom kind of starts crying, and Rachel kind of starts crying, and we all are kind of crying. But I had got over it. I didn't keep crying. I didn't let the fear of whatever this was hold me back. So she couldn't really explain a lot to me. Like, she couldn't explain the basis of it. Like, she didn't know like what kind of diabetes it was at the time. She knew it was something like that, but it wasn't like type 2 or anything. So she told us to go to the hospital and that we needed to get there as soon as we could because my sugars were, I think they were 326. Yeah, I think they were 326. And then my A1C, we'll tell you later when I go to the hospital because they hadn't checked that till we go to the hospital. So we come back. I've done crying. I'm done with that. I'm packing up my clothes. I'm kind of still worried because I don't know what all this entails and if I can eat food. I still haven't ate breakfast by this point because the doctor's appointment was so early. We thought it was just an ear infection, so we could go back and eat and all that stuff. And I wasn't going to worry about eating. I mean, and then the doctor was like, you can't eat either. So we didn't eat lunch either. So we went to the hospital farther away than our normal hospital is, but that's the hospital that was recommended. And so we're booked in a room. They check my A1C, and we wait a while in this one room because it just took a while for a room to be made available. So we're in the waiting. It's like a doctor's office waiting room. I don't know what they're called, but we're in there. They check my A1C. It is 13. I think 12 or 13. My A1C is 12 or 13, and for normal diabetics, for like people who are non-diabetic, it's just supposed to be below like 5 through 6 of A1C is a normal person's A1C, and then with the diabetics it would be below 7.5, and if you can go any lower than that, then that's great. But that's for someone who has type 1 diabetes. That's their A1C. Well, mine was 13, so yeah, that was pretty high, and they were kind of worried because like I had been that way for like a few months, I guess. We didn't know because we couldn't tell. But like they had got like me hooked up with all the vitals and all that stuff, and they come in, give me the shot, because I think it is the first shot. I don't know. No, they give me test for some stuff because they weren't really for sure about like if I had some kind of different disease, type 2. They didn't know about that. So I had fasted up till 2, I think. It was from supper that night to 2. So I was like really hungry, and my whole family came by then, and so they had all realized and stuff like that. But it just like, that news kind of shocked me. I didn't know. And then the nurses and the doctor tells us we can eat. So we go, mommy goes and asks me what food did I want, because we're still thinking it's type 2. So we're like, I wanted a Chick-fil-A sandwich and a milkshake. I think that was it. And so she goes and orders that. The doctors and the nurses, they literally do not tell us this. They didn't say nothing. They didn't say anything about what food we could or couldn't have. So mommy goes and gets the food. I wait there, still hungry, still waiting for the food. This becomes a recurring problem, don't worry. This is day 1 in the hospital. And so she goes and gets food. She comes back. The nurses walk in. They're like, why is she eating that? Like, she's not supposed to be eating that. And then my mom responds, well, you didn't tell us what to eat. And they literally didn't. So I go and eat that. They have their old kerfuffle about it. And so it's fine. I'm alive today. Nurses who were there. And so we go there. I think I get my first shot around this time. It was a big one because I had had such a big meal. And also to check my blood sugars, they were about 238 or something. I think they had already gave me my first shot. It's kind of fuzzy because it's been like 4 years ago. But they had gave me my first shot, and I wanted them to give me my first shot because I was kind of scared of needles, but I had to kind of not be scared of needles to live. So they did my first shot in my knee with the insulin, and that was like huge. It just kind of scared me for the most part. It did. It's not like I cried or anything. I was just more scared with poking myself like a gummy bear, like the Pillsbury thing, just poking myself everywhere. But anyway, we're gonna always have to do that. But anyway, we're done with that. I sit in the hospital room. Wait, no, we moved to a room. We've been in the waiting room. They had got us another room, but then we were admitted to actual room in the ICU, I think, or one of the children's ICU. I don't know because it's just all confusing. It's so long ago, but so we get admitted to a room. All the mean nurses down in the ICU were gone, and we had this really nice doctor. I wish I could remember his name. I don't remember his name, but he was a really nice doctor, and he kind of told us more about it and just like what to expect and what we could do, and just like what was happening, and just like would I lead a normal life or anything. And I didn't know, but he was just really a breath of fresh air, and I was kind of excited because it was finally someone nice that actually was like, I genuinely care about you. And we needed that because we had so many people who were like, you can't eat that, or like, why are you giving that to her? and we had just had so many mean people, and then we finally get there, and he's like, "Hi, this my name is. Just wanted you to let you know that we're here to help," and it's just it's an amazing experience from there. And then the room we are admitted into is like maybe the size of our bathroom, maybe. It was just a really small room, and yeah, it was just really small. And then this other lady comes in and she explains some more about like what type 1 diabetes is. Her being a type 1 diabetic herself, she kind of explains like what it is, like what my sugars are gonna do, how to take care of it, what are the after effects, will I be able to have children and stuff like that, because that's what I was most worried about. Because as if you know me, people who watch me and know me as a person, I love kids and I want kids when I'm older, so it was kind of a big deal to me that I just need to be careful when I want to do that I need to keep my sugars in check, but that I could still have children and that I could still do it. I would just have to keep my sugars in check. So she explained a little bit more about it, and she was also a breath of fresh air, and I still thank you to the people that were up in the room that we got admitted to. I still thank you for that, because you just gave me such an amazing experience. And it was just so amazing how nice y'all were. And I'd like to thank you all for that. We had stayed there about the first day. Okay, getting emotional. It's okay. The first day, one thing I have to complain about the hospital is the food. Not because the food is bad, because it's hospital food. You can't really expect any more than you do with hospital food, because it's hospital food. I mean, what you gonna expect? You ain't gonna expect no gourmet steak or anything. But it was just like the spacing of the meals. I would order it like the earliest opportune moment, and it would arrive like about an hour or two later, and I'm like starving while they're waiting to give me my food, and I've ordered it at the earliest opportune moment that I could, and I'm just waiting there hungry, because like I had not eaten since the day before, since like 7 or something like that. So I was still hungry, even though I just ate lunch. I was still hungry because they had spaced it out from 2 to about like 6 or 7, and I was getting hungry by that time. And they were like, "We need to check your pee, we need to check your glucose, we need to check this, we need to check that." And I was just like, I need to eat. Like, y'all can check that later, we don't care. I need to eat. So that's a problem I had, but it was a minor problem, and that got adjusted eventually. So we're here the second day. More people come to visit us. They give me gifts and stuff like that, and they probably think it's type 2 diabetes, and they probably don't know, but most of them were kind of nice. And then my aunt and my other cousins come. My aunt and my cousin have diabetes, type 1 diabetes as well, so they kind of understood more than probably other people did. And so did my other cousin, had hypoglycemia, kind of, and so she kind of understood. So they stayed with me there a little bit, because just, to help me cope and to help me understand what I was gonna do, because like being the second day of being diagnosed as a type 1 diabetic, it really wasn't fun. I mean, I've got to stab myself almost like 6 times a day, because I would have to take the Lantus injection, and then the Novolog and the Lantus and Novolog and Lantus, and it was just like reoccurring. Like, I had to wake up in the middle of the night, check my sugars, and do the correction, go back to sleep, wake up at some ungodly hour of the morning, take my glucose, do that injection, and just like repeatedly do that and do that and do that. And so they kind of helped me adjust. And like the room that I had was really nice, but it was really small, so it was just kind of what it was what it was. And so the second day was kind of so this is about the third day. We're about to leave, I think it's the third day. I'm about to leave. As we were about to check out, we were calling people, telling them what we'd had, because we'd still not told everybody. And I'm kind of glad, because like I wanted to kind of tell everyone, and just not like have I'll tell you about experiences later because it's probably going to be a really long video to edit. But like other experiences that I had with people, I personally wanted to tell people because when other people told other people, they didn't really give them the full gist of the story and the full like, hey, this is not type 2 diabetes, and they're just expecting me. They're like, oh, you can't eat sugar and you can't eat that. Just like they weren't like that. So I just had to go tell other people, like call them on the phone, tell them about it, and just do that. Then we're out. And we have this really sweet nurse on the bottom floor. She kind of helped us a lot, so I gave her a present. And we were so grateful for her and the doctor and the other doctor that was there, that they really helped us out. And we really wanted to thank them, and just to thank them for doing that, and just have to go into this new life of having diabetes and stuff. So we're with diabetes, and I'm going into the car, and I'm not crying. Well, I'm crying now, but looking back, I haven't really said this. So we get into the car, and I'm kind of scared about like how I'm gonna start, because I'm still scared of needles and stuff. And we couldn't really get a pump until we had training with the needles and stuff, so I was kind of scared. But we had gone home. We had gone to the pharmacy where we could get the insulin and the needles, so we went and got that. And my mom had taken us to an ice cream shop, because by the time I had learned to control my sugars and stuff like that. And so we went to there, and it's kind of a funny story. We were about to bolus, and we had forgot the needles at home, so we had to hurry back and get home from getting the needles and stuff. So that was kind of this first meal out, the needles and stuff, but it was fine. I mean, I'm coping with it right now. So, but for right now, I'm doing well with diabetes. As you can tell, I get a little emotional, just a little, over having it sometimes. Sometimes it wasn't always perfect, because, after having it for 4 years, you think you'd get it under control. You don't. Sometimes you have high days, and sometimes you have bad days, which create high days, and then you have low days that create annoying sleepless nights, and it's just all amazing sometimes, and not really, it's not always amazing, but there's people on YouTube and people around me that have helped me to move on and to try to, live with it, because one doctor said, she said, the disease is treatable, not curable. Well, not yet anyway. So, I have what I have, and I have to deal with it. I can't just not deal with it, because, I wouldn't be here. So, that's my story, and I'm not trying to end it on a sad note that I seem sad. Don't know why. Yeah. That's my story of how I got diabetes and how I'm doing with it now. You have to cope with it as best as you can, and just sometimes it's not always going to be perfect, but you can handle it, and that you'll do well, and that sometimes there will be bad days, but there'll be good days as well. So I hope y'all enjoyed this video, and just me kind of chatting about how I got it and how you can cope with it, and then I'll just tell you about more experience that I've had, and I hope with this channel that I can show you how to insert things into your body, the sensor, and then the pump and like how to inject yourself with insulin and just all like the bad days and the good days and how to bolus and how to count your carbs and all that, and just like the life of a teen with type 1 diabetes. And it's just not the same as type 2 because I just have so many more experiences. How type 1 does not equal type 2, and though many people think it does, it doesn't. But this is going to be my first video on YouTube for this channel, and I hope y'all enjoyed it. See y'all next time. Bye.